Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, Internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Macklemore and Ryan Lewis single, Downtown. Macklemore is a Seattle rapper and Ryan Lewis an incredibly talented producer who have been just ruling the charts over the past few years with some fantastic tracks off of their debut full-length collaborative album, The Heist. I liked this album before it blew up, and before it was actually cool to hate it. And I actually enjoyed the single Wings, as well as the Wings EP that it came from, and the Wings music video was actually my video of the year since it came out. And I haven't really talked too much about Macklemore since my original review of The Heist and the sort of rise to fame, the meteoric rise to fame that he's had since then on this surprising, somewhat independent come-up. And Macklemore, while I still appreciate his talents as an artist, which, I mean, I can hear people now saying, Macklemore's not talented. I hear it. I hear the typing. I hear it. I appreciate his talents as an artist, but I too will agree. His rise to fame has not exactly been pretty, from everything with the whole Kendrick debacle and being like, oh, I don't deserve this award. Honestly, like, while I wish Kendrick won as well, the Grammys aren't good judges of niche sort of genres where the people who are truly passionate within that genre aren't necessarily reflecting the tastes of the lowest common denominator, of the populace. The Grammys judge pop music. So if they're going to give your rap record a Grammy, it's going to be because it has pop appeal. Even going back 20 years, if we look back 20 years here, we could see the 1995 Grammys. Some of the winners of of Grammys that year, and this is cute, this is funny. Let's see, we had Sheryl Crow, All I Want to Do. That was a hit. That was a lovely song. Everybody heard it everywhere. Bruce Springsteen, Streets of Philadelphia. Best New Artist was actually Sheryl Crow. Best Alternative Music Performance was Green Day's Dookie. As far as the rap awards that they did, Salt and Peppa and Queen Latifah walked away with awards. And actually, you know, they were good artists in their own right, and they had great hits that, you know, are definitely significant in the history of hip-hop. But when we actually look at the records that have received widespread critical acclaim during the year 1995 and have sort of, you know, withstood the test of time, we have Radiohead's The Bends, came out in 1995, GZA's Liquid Freakin' Swords, Bjork had a record, Smashing Pumpkins had a record, Death had a record, and I believe the best metal and hard rock performance for the Grammys in 1995 was freaking Soundgarden. Mobb Deep, The Infamous, Pulp, Different Class, Chef, Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links, dropped that year, PJ Harvey, she actually got an MTV nod, did not get a Grammy nod though, Pavement's Wowie Zowie, Elliott Smith's Elliott Smith, and honestly, that's just the tip of the freaking iceberg. Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory came out, Goody Mob, Smith & Wesson. I'm just going to keep going down this thing, and I'm just going to keep seeing more and more great records. Fugazi, Red Medicine, don't really expect them to win a Grammy, but, you know, that's still a fantastic record from 1995. Slow Dive, and it just goes on and on and on. There were lots of great records superior to the Grammy-winning records in 1995 as far as artistic quality, but the thing is, those records didn't have as much pop appeal, and that's consistently how the Grammys judge whether or not someone's going to win a Grammy. And that time around, no. Kendrick Lamar did not have as much pop appeal as Macklemore. So having said that, Macklemore's response to this whole situation wasn't really pretty. We also had that incident where he was dressed in a questionable costume, which a lot of people allege to have racist undertones to it, where he looked like an absolute freaking dope. Again, it hasn't been pretty. However, that doesn't necessarily take away from Macklemore's talents as a rapper and as what right now is kind of like a pop artist. He is a pop artist who raps and also makes hip-hop music. And I think on this new single over here, and he had one not too long ago with Ed Sheeran that I kind of let slip through the cracks a little bit because I wasn't really ready to jump into a song with Ed Sheeran on it. Not the biggest Ed Sheeran fan, and was kind of worried about what direction Macklemore would be taking with that song. However, it did in fact end up being this really heartfelt song to his child that was pretty cute. Yeah, Macklemore can be a little overly sentimental sometimes, but at least when I'm listening to him, I feel like what he's saying comes from a place of real feeling and concern, and that's important to me. You know, it doesn't feel like a put on, even if at times it does feel like, okay, man, cheat at calculus and jaywalk, but make sure you look both ways before you do. And go to festivals. Okay, buddy. Okay. Really great life advice. I'm just gonna be living by this life advice. Regardless, though, this new single, Downtown, which actually surprisingly featured not only the singer of Foxy Shazam, but some pretty fantastic classic MCs too. In this new video, and even in the recording of the song, I believe you can catch Eric Nally, Grandmaster Kaz, also Cool Mo D, and Melly freaking Mel. And there are so many rappers today that don't even know who the hell these people are, which is unfortunate. And I guess it's kind of cool that Macklemore is giving us a history lesson here. Let's take this track at two angles. We have the musical side, we have the lyrical side. On the musical side of this record, I think this is one of Macklemore's better songs. The production is fantastic, so amen to Ryan Lewis on that. The bass line is incredibly funky, the groove is top-notch, and surprisingly, once that Foxy Shazam sort of chorus comes popping in and you get that really huge rush of pianos and that really strong Queen influence coming through on the vocals, that big glam rock delivery, it's actually really good. I'm usually pretty weary when it comes to hip-hop songs that include such showy, melodic, glamorous choruses, but here it felt really beautiful and natural, and I think that that has a lot to do with Ryan Lewis's emphasis on organic, large, orchestral-sized instrumentation in a lot of Macklemore's instrumentals. So when he does a chorus like this, aesthetically it kind of fits into his style. Now, the pianos here, the strings, it all sounds freaking gorgeous, and I love the way the vocals layer on this chorus too. Downtown! It's just so freaking feel good, man. And I love how you get that bit of silence right after the first chorus, and then that bass line pops back in, and you're just looped right back around into this amazing instrumental. So again, instrumentally, I think this is a great track. I don't really have too much to complain about on the instrumental side of things. As far as the lyrics on this record go, it's okay. I think Macklemore tried to recreate, especially with the music video here, that same winning formula that he had on Thrift Shop, but instead of coming through with like a clear, concise concept or message or really anything, he kind of jumped around from random idea to random idea and sort of came through the music video that I think sort of threw as many detours at us as the lyrics did. The thing about Thrift Shop, though, is that it focused on a concept and it stuck with it, and it was funny throughout. And here, while this track does have a pretty sharp sense of humor, I think it loses sight of what it was originally trying to say at the start with the whole moped thing. But then by the time the second chorus is here, we've really kind of completely lost sight of the whole moped thing. Really, by the time that the chorus pops in and all of a sudden we have this awesome, very expensive looking chariot riding in on motorcycles. Why not mopeds, I don't know. I guess there was a little bit of a gang versus gang kind of thing in a niche sort of sense going on in this video, but they didn't really play with that dynamic so much that it played out in any kind of coherent way by the end of the music video. I kind of felt like the song and the video itself kind of started off with an interesting prospect for a story or some kind of portrait of something, a moped rider, a person, a gang, a town, a whatever, but then by the end of it, it didn't really turn into anything more than just kind of like this really high budget looking parade. And the second verse on here, I think, is really where the record flounders, not only in terms of just the concept not being there, but some of Macklemore's corniest lines pop up on this second verse here, when he's like, there's layers to this shit, tiramisu, and also that whole line about the eagle like landing on his bike or whatever, and then he's just like, hello. His flow here on this portion of the song is just so soft-voiced and weird. It's like, you know, we know that you're not trying to be hard, and we accept that you're not, you know, one of these hard rappers, but at least bring a little bit of urgency to the table. You know, don't sound like, no matter what I rap here, I'm gonna make money, so let's just do it. But I guess it's not too much of a loss in that it's just kind of a funny, jokey song. I mean, I don't think Macklemore has any presumptions of this track being really deep or anything like that. And while some of his biggest singles in the past have been these really large, meaningful songs, Thrift Shop is a silly track, you know. So I think Macklemore, you know, allots himself those opportunities here and there to do a silly song, do a ridiculous song. I like the fact that he's an artist who, you know, can come out with these tracks that, at least to him, feel really meaningful and are supposed to be really thought-provoking and are supposed to be really personal, but yet he's also capable of doing a fun, poppy, you know, kind of playful track like this. Overall, I don't think it's too bad of a tune. I don't think it's probably going to skyrocket in the same way that Thrift Shop did. If it were going to, I think it had the instrumental, I think it had the music video, but I think it really kind of needed the concept in the same way that Thrift Shop had a concept. And while the moped thing at the start of the track was certainly silly, I don't know, I think you could probably sell America on the idea of a Thrift Shop song faster than you could probably a moped song, and maybe that's why Macklemore didn't really follow through with it. If he was gonna do another Thrift Shop, which again I do think this was an attempt at that, he would most definitely have to come together with a better song idea than Mopeds and just random lines about tiramisu and all that. Regardless, though, I think that silliness, that randomness, all those lyrical detours do play into the old school vibe that this track puts forward on the instrumental here. And another thing that's obviously a reference point for Macklemore and company on this track is the freaking Mark Ronson song Uptown Funk. And while I think at first listen, me and a lot of other people kind of assume that maybe this is kind of a ripoff of some sort, I think the similarities in the instrumental here and on Mark Ronson's song, along with the title of this track, aren't so much a ripoff, but kind of just like a blatant nod or reference or even like a response, which is something that not a lot of pop stars do today. And not that there was ever a point in which it was rampant, but I kind of think back to moments like how the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's was like blatantly supposed to be an answer, or kind of an attempt to top what the Beach Boys were doing on Pet Sounds, or kind of like Bob Dylan when he put out that song, You Gotta Serve Somebody. John Lennon put out that scathing track, Serve Yourself. And not that I think that Macklemore is trying to, you know, beef with Mark Ronson or anything like that, but I think he just kind of heard that old school throwback style that he had going on Uptown Funk, and he figured he was going to come out with his own throwback, and he was going to have it be funky. He was going to have it be filled with natural instrumentation, organic instrumentation. He was going to have a big vocal, a great singer, and a big hook on the track too. And yeah, this is just like kind of his version, his take on this new wave of older, funkier, more organic instrumentation popping up in a lot of pop music, from bands like Haim to even the new Carly Rae Jepsen record a little bit. So yeah, I think Macklemore is just kind of acknowledging this new trend in pop music, not in hip-hop music, in pop music, because remember, he is a pop artist pretty much at this point, and he came out with a decent single. Am I like head over heels for it? Do I think it's the greatest single of all time? It has its flaws, but I think it's a good single, and I think this track, along with the Ed Sheeran song that he just recently did, are a show that we have 2 songs thus far, probably an album on the way, that aren't too bad. And I mean, again, I understand a lot of people don't like Macklemore. They think he's either corny or he's not hard enough or whatever, or he's not authentically hip-hop, and that's fine. I don't really sort of at this point anyway with this track, I guess, hold him to that same hip-hop rubric, even though his songs do include elements of hip-hop music. I just kind of see him as a pop artist at this point, even though he is rapping on his songs, which instantly would make most people think, okay, I'm listening to a hip-hop track. I don't really see it as that. I just kind of see his music as being pop music that a lot of the time has a message behind it, or is actually in very, very good, creative, entertaining fun. And that's more what I see this single as. Let me know what you think of this new track. What do you think of Downtown? What do you think of these two new Macklemore tracks? Where do you think he is headed with his new record? Do you even care? Do you just hate him? Do you think Macklemore is total garbage and you would never enjoy a Macklemore song ever? Do keep in mind that he was taken relatively seriously before that whole Heist record blew up. I mean, even Sub Pop came out with a 45 of that same love tune. And your boy Schoolboy Q was on the Heist. Let's not forget that. Regardless, though, it's whatever. I'm not so much defending Macklemore, but kind of observing the silliness and the fickleness of music listening audiences. It's actually quite interesting, But you know, I'll just leave it at that.